Um, Next up, feel free to come over. We have Simon and Jon, all right, who build amazing arcades from the most random stuff, or so I've been told. Um, they have IKEA furniture, which is your basic run-of-the-mill stuff. They have the stuff they find on the road, strollers, or so I've been told. So they're quite imaginative with the stuff they use to build arcades. And what they're gonna do right now is just talk to you about um, like reinventing and revolutionizing. I'm just gonna get you a great build up here. These arcades. Um, yeah, you good to go? There we go. We have some great visuals already. Enjoy this talk, and let's go.
F5, thank you. Hey, Simon.
Hey, June. So yeah, thanks for inviting me, sharing this talk.
You're welcome.
So basically, we'll be talking about the culture of building arcade cabinet in the indie scene. And yeah, so for some of you that have already attended an event, like video games event, the arcade cabinet is something quite common. You know, we use that to display games. It's a good way to showcase a game, but it's also a good way to reinvent the controller and the way you will interact with an existing game or maybe a unique and original games. So yeah, it's a little bit dark, but let's go to the next one. So as a teacher, sometimes I have the bad habit to start with history and stuff like that. So I will try to be not very boring and really fast about that. But yeah, the arcade cabinets has appeared during the late 70s and has really has been developed in the 80s. So the cool things at the beginning of the video games, let's say industry, creativity, is like we didn't know how to, sell video games. It was like, so we have something cool, new technology and stuff like that. It's fun, but we have to find like a market, a customers and stuff like that. We have to find a target. And, oh, cool, yeah. And that's probably one of the most funny moments of video game history because video games creators was looking for places and people to play video games. And for that, there is no limit to put video games in public spaces. For that reason, we have seen a lot of advertising about putting video games arcade into different places such as hotel, restaurant, stuff like that. If you can see on the slide, it's like some advertising by Williams Electronics that try to convince not players but people who will buy the arcade cabinets that having an arcade cabinet into their restaurants will be something to have. Like it's something you have to get for your customers. They will drink more, it will be more fun. You can have like the regular basic experience of a restaurant and you can have something even better by putting video games in that. That was the kind of approach that we had at the beginning of the 80s. And this one is really fun and creepy at the same time. It was some specific design cabinet for hospital, clinics, or doctor place. Like the argument was, if you have a pew pongs, this is the one on the right, or a doctor pongs into your cabinet, you will bring your customer. They will come earlier for the appointment, for instance. They won't be late anymore because they want to play video games at your doctor cabinet. That was a weird approach. But at the same time, it pushes the manufacturer to imagine a lot of weird arcade cabinet to showcase the game. Go to the next. On these slides, you have the Pew Pong cabinet and the Dr. Pong. This was like the kid versions of a Pong, and a more serious version for the adult. But that's something really interesting because on the next slide. It's just an example of how manufacturer was trying to look for weird cabinet and weird installation to promote games. Some was meant to be played in restaurants, so we had the famous cocktail arcade cabinet tables, the ones that you can drink on it and just see the game below your glasses. And there is a lot of creativity by thinking on how we can sell, how can we can showcase video games. Video games was a lot into the public spaces at this time, and not so much into the intimate spaces, into the private spaces. And that's something that will change during the mid-80s and, of course, during the 90s. So a stupid question is, what is an arcade cabinet made of? Basically, it's something simple. You have, if we take the first one of the first one, on the next slide, it's like the Pong one. It's just a big wooden arcade cabinet. It's almost empty inside, so it's just a screen and a computer to run it. And basically, that's just like that. It's really simple. You have also the controller, but it's just as easy as it looks. And for a long time, arcade cabinet looks like something very exotic, very complex, and something that you can't really do it by yourself, you know. The funny thing is, during the 2000s year, a lot of indie game developers just started to retake that way to showcase games. Next slide. That one is quite funny, but I will quickly turn to the next one. It's just differences between arcade games and games you will play at home, even if this is the same game. So the question is, why building arcade cabinet? So one of the most popular example we have in the indie game scene is the Baby Castles Collective, which is a group that really used the arcade cabinet as a way to display game, as a way to organize event, party, and stuff like that. And they try to reinvent the way we display games through a very different kind of arcade cabinet, from the teddy bear, for instance, to wooden palette arcade cabinet, homemade stuff. We go to the next. Next. Then we wanted to show you some example we have made from my collective when I freelance in France to what June has made in his work. This one is an example called Retro No Future, which was an exhibition made in France. It was a selection of 30 games presented on 30 wooden palette arcade cabinet. We'll go to the next one. And it was an example to reinvent the way you can display game, the way you can play with the title of the game and the content of the game by giving a first ID by looking at the cabinet. And I think we can go to we have this one, but I think we can directly go to your example.
Yeah, so now it's my turn. I didn't have a huge amount of time to prepare, which is always fun to start off with. So I'm going to shamelessly reappropriate some parts of my GDC talk. Can you hold the microphone for me? Because I need to move the mouse in my PowerPoint. So yeah, I'm Jon, and like Simon said, I'm one of those people who builds weird stuff, and they're all stories, right? The fun thing is, none of this is planned. I didn't plan to become the grassroots arcade builder, but it sort of happened because we had this video game called Laser Nights, and we wanted to bring it to parties. So we stacked two IKEA coffee tables on top of each other, put our video game in there, and started bringing it to parties. And well, that was pretty cool. The problem is that the wheels kept breaking off and everything. So we thought about, what if we make it more mobile? And then we thought, what's mobile? Like a shopping cart, maybe a trolley or something. But what's mobile and cheap is baby carriages, right? They apparently there's something like baby carriage fashion. They go out of fashion. They go on eBay for like $10. So you buy a baby carriage and you put a screen in there. It's pretty much the same as the one over there, only this one you can take on the buses and metro systems, metro trains, whatever, without being hassled by the police, uh, or by the bus driver, because you're not supposed to technically move furniture on a bus. Um, which eventually led to, so this was all in Copenhagen, where I'm currently living, but I came to Antwerp to hang out with Bram, who is a fellow co-organizer of this event. And again, I thought, what is cheap? So we went to the Kringloopwinkel, which is a second-hand store of Antwerp, and we bought ourselves a very nice vintage wooden thing, which you can actually see over there. It's one of the few things that we can actually show you. And this worked out great. I mean, I laid the foundations, and Bram spent I don't know how long finishing it, and it looks amazing. And let me get back to that. But because the last one that's in here is the Art-cade, and this was, again, I went to an event in London, didn't have a lot of money, wanted to show a video game in another way than just having a laptop on a table. So what did I find in the streets of London? It was just some pallets. I cut a hole in it, put a screen in there, and it was a way more interesting thing. So what I wanted to show you with these 4 examples, Simon already said some of it, but I really think that there's a powerful message here that when you press a button, do you think that that is a physical action? Or do you think about, obviously it's a physical action, it's your hand moving and pressing a button. But do you ever consciously think that you're doing something physically? So you are, and the thing is, we're all just we're super accustomed to using buttons and keyboards, but there's so much more that we can do on the one end. So that's where custom controllers, that's where, for example, using a piano, or I don't know if we have any really good examples here, but for example, over there in the corner is a game that you can interact with by drawing on a paper with a regular crayon. I think that's pretty cool. We're going to have a game over there that you have to interact with while playing Tarzan, going from controller to controller. We have so much more that we can innovate with that's not actually the digital part, is the physical part. And there's one side, there's a really cool innovative technologies. I'm pretty sure the guys who made that spent a lot of time trying to figure out how do we make this crayon into an input mechanic. There's also the other part. The interesting part is that we have ready-made video games, we have ready-made buttons and stuff. There's the context that you put it in. What I found out when we put our arcade machine into a baby stroller is that people react to it differently. A lot of people are actually like, oh, this is a really cool thing. I want to drive around with this, or I want to care for it. I wish there was a game in here that made me feel emotions that are connected to this. And the reason I can't show you really grand examples is because we are discovering this as we go. Like I said, I don't have a master plan, but I'm excited for the future. What we found out with the one I made out of literally trash that was literally given to us for free to find on the streets is that it's treated that way as well. The next day we just carried it to the curb. It was destroyed. I started feeling this while it was actually still running and set up, and started handing out markers and duct tape and other stuff please make this a thing that lasts for this event, and then let's never have it again. It's been rebuilt several times using different materials, so the concept lives on, but the installation itself doesn't. So that to me, that the context of your super digital video game is super important, and that's what we're exploring with all of this, why we're creating events, and because that's where they're supposed to go. Right, nobody's gonna pay me to do this in their house, but if you do, please call me. And now I think I will go back. Do we have anything more? Do we have a nice ending, or?
Yeah,
back to you.
It's quite bam, just finish on that. It looks flat, but yeah. No, this was the things John was talking about, the context and the physical action you have when you play on arcade or on an installation game. This is something quite totally different from what we are used to, and this is something that is more and more developed into the indie scene. And this is also one of the consequences of that is that we are trying to reconquest the public spaces and by the use of installation game and stuff like that. But as I said, it sounds so flat now. So yeah, let's go to
what's here.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for listening. Check out if you're. if you're interested to know more, oneliferemains.com, which is his collective in Paris,
Yeah.
right? They have a lot of really good documentation, photos, and all that stuff, and so does my website. So, any questions? Cool. Thanks a lot.
All right, right now we're going to have a 20-minute break. So I will see you here at 5:10. Hopefully, on your own accord, and otherwise I'll just get Alice to yell at everyone.